Hey friends, Jewel back with another super cool astrology video. And I am in what's going to be my new office because I had to move my other new office from upstairs to downstairs because I have a wily teenager that needed a little bit more supervision. Pluto on the midheaven, sun. And so he moved upstairs, so his room now is directly across from my bedroom, so I can see and hear everything that's going on. And now I have a room that's actually 30% bigger, so I can get more super cool, neat stuff. So that's always fun to have more space. So I'm sure in the future you will see this transform into something very different and hopefully quite beautiful. And I have 2 windows now instead of 1, so the lighting should be way better for my videos. So, Synastry today, Moon conjunct other partner's ascendant. What happens when we have this going on? So this is typically a very positive contact when we have this. This is really showing that the moon person and the ascendant person are very much on the same page when it comes to the heart and the persona. So synastry is when we have 2 birth charts. We put them side by side or on top of each other. We can see the contacts between all the different planets, and it gives us a really good clue about how these 2 people interact. So this is not a composite video. That's a different playlist. This is chart comparison, synastry. So the moon is how we feel, our unconscious responses, our habitual patterns, very much about how we nurture ourselves and others. For a man, it very much describes what he looks for in a partner, in a wife, describes the wife as opposed to Venus, which kind of gives a lot of clues as about what he's attracted to. And that's what we look to when we want to see what describes the girlfriend. So the moon is very important in astrology because it's really where our feelings are at. It's, people think that it's all about the sun. That is not the case. The ascendant and the moon are way more important than the sun. The sun is just your identity. It's just who you think you are. The moon is way more about the truth of who you are. It's very much more descriptive of who you know yourself to be. And the ascendant is what we project out to the world, the personality that we put out there. And it's very much descriptive of where the birth chart talks, where the noise comes out of it. The rest of the birth chart very much describes the different areas in our life. And that first house is very much about our personality and what we show to the world. So the moon is a much more personal planet. So the moon, being the most personal planet actually, coming to conjunct another person's ascendant, and this is a video that is about this being in the same sign. I will soon have a video, probably tomorrow, coming out about conjunctions and different aspects that happen out of sign. They are making an aspect by degree, but they are not in sign. So if your ascendant is conjunct to somebody else's moon, like if this is happening at the very beginning or the end of a house, then, or a sign, then that's a little bit different. That throws a little bit more complexity into things, where this video is very much addressing moon conjunct ascendant, same sign. So there is just a great affinity between the way the moon person feels and the way the ascendant person presents themselves. An instant emotional rapport. And in fact, this contact is very much about easy rapport, an instant rapport. These 2 just have a lot in common. And the moon person feels very much at ease, very quickly with the ascendant person. The emotional understanding the emotional affinity is very high between these two. The ascendant person is felt very strongly by the moon person. The moon person, sees in the ascendant person that they can trust them, because there's just a great deal of being the same. Where the moon person, there's the feelings on the inside very much matches what they're seeing in the ascendant person, because the ascendant person is showing the characteristics that the moon person is feeling. They're showing that, they're projecting that. So it's very much a contact that's about the inner being reflected very much by the outer of the other person. So the moon person is seen as very emotionally accessible to the ascendant person. It's a very naturally vulnerable place for the moon to be. The moon just wants to be open with the ascendant because they feel understood. They feel like they have a soft place to fall with the ascendant person. So what does that do when we have those feelings? That makes us want to be open. It makes us want to share when we feel like we can. And this is a contact that really lends a high degree of emotional intimacy to a relationship, any relationship. This one is going to be really, really good with. Maybe not boss, employee, because there's going to be a lot of sympathy here between these two. So, in an intimate relationship, this is a really, really excellent contact to have because of the nature of what intimate relationships are. So the instincts are very, very similar. The moon person feels that they can depend on the ascendant person. There's a high degree of, what is the word? Emotional safety, I guess, is the phrase I'm looking for, between these two. So one thing that we can actually see a negative to this, there really aren't a lot of negatives to this one, but we can see that the moon person can become emotionally dependent on the ascendant person for their emotional fulfillment and for their happiness. Because the moon is that vulnerable part of us, that most intimate part of us, and was originally represented by that fourth house, and that fourth house is the most intimate house of all. So it's it can become a case of the moon becoming so attached to the ascendant person that becomes their only friend or their only support system. So they can very much put a lot of pressure on the ascendant person to bring them the emotional fulfillment that they are looking for. So it's important that the moon person over time be able to remain somewhat emotionally separate. They need to remind themselves that they are their own person, because this is one of those contacts that can lend to that difficulty in a relationship where you cannot tell where one begins and the other ends. So we can have some codependency come in here. Now, this is not one of those contacts that's going to create, a lot of horrendous codependency going on, but we can see a degree of that. Typically, this is a very healthy contact, but you have to look at the emotional state of the moon person. If they're very prone to codependent relationships and they draw one of these to them, they can feel like, oh, I finally have a place to rest and a place to fall, and I don't want to let this go. And so they'll become too clingy. So it can be a clingy contact overall. But it's one that, for the negatives that come with it, the positives that you get with this one are huge. I mean, this is one where the people really have a genuine appreciation and love and understanding for each other. So it's one that actually tends to foster the type of growth that we are looking for in healthy, satisfying relationships. So I hope you found this to be helpful. If you did, please subscribe to my channel if you have not done so. It's right down there. And I will be back with more super cool videos very soon. Yes, I do private consultation. I specialize in partner and intimacy astrology, and you can find me on the internet at truthandaspectastrology.com. You can find me on Facebook, where you should be following me, because I do the daily astro weather forecast, sometimes a little late, but I get it out there, and birthday descriptions, articles, all kinds of fun stuff over there. So follow me over at Facebook at Truth in Aspect Astrology, and I will be back super soon with more super cool videos. Bye bye.